Good morning. This morning we're joined by Giovanni Chiarelli, and he is the Chief Technology and Information Officer at MTN South Africa. Good morning, Giovanni.
Good morning, Tinus.
Thank you for joining us, Giovanni. It's really a privilege to have you here. I want to start off maybe by asking you, could you give us an introduction to how you have gotten into engineering?
Yeah, you could say, it's a very boring story because my dad is an engineer. So it's an electrical engineer, by the way, that then, due to the job and the career, became a telecommunications engineer. So you could say, okay, it's just a copy and paste. But obviously, let me say the family is important in those decisions if they can support, they give you recommendations and so on. And especially for Italians, the family is not just your parents, it's the extended family. So let me say uncles, cousins, and so on and so forth, grandparents. So in essence, I was surrounded when I was a kid from mostly engineers and doctors. And then you can imagine the two parties were trying to pull me on one side or on another side. And obviously my dad was he's a very proud engineer. Now he's 90, but he's still passionate about technology. And my mom is an art teacher, so vice versa, she was pulling more from the doctor side, yeah, saying, okay, no, I understand you have not the artist angle, but yeah, maybe you can be a good doctor. And at a certain point, she was even pushing, say, you should be a dentist. You know, it's a very good job. You will earn a lot, and the work-life balance for sure is much better than working in a big corporation. So there was always this debate in the family. So my dad at the end was successful with me, and my mom was successful with my brother, and he's a surgeon. Yeah. So
And Giovanni, you are originally from Italy,
yeah,
right? Okay.
from
Why did you come to South Africa?
So obviously it's a long journey, let me say 8,000 kilometers. In essence, my studies were in Italy. So in reality, I was lucky enough because let me say the most important engineering university in the country, Polytechnic of Milan, is in my home country where I was living with my parents. And then obviously I started my first job there. And by the way, this is also the economical hub of the country. So at the end of the day, it was very easy to find a good job and so on and so forth. So for many years I was there. I got married. My wife is also from Milan and so on and so forth. The first kids were born there. And then the job brought us to Rome. And after that, we started traveling in Europe. So I moved to London, then I moved to Bucharest in Romania. And last but not least, now since more than 4 years in Joburg.
Okay. I want to ask you something about your daily life, and this is something that many engineers go through the same process. You start off doing technical work, and I'm pretty sure that happened to you as well as you went through Rome and into Johannesburg, and then at a certain stage you cross a boundary where you start to almost project manage and looking at teams of engineers, and then finally you end up in meetings all day. I know that's definitely been the case for me. Could you tell us, give us an insight into what your typical day looks like and the type of decisions that you have to make, if you could?
Yeah. So, yeah, I was reflecting with some friends about time management. Yeah, because at the end of the day, I think it's a super important element in life, not just from a professional perspective. So more than looking at a single day, usually I look at the week. Yeah, so I would say it's a working week more than a working day. And usually the days I'm trying to structure them as much as possible with different focus. Yeah. So for example, Monday is mostly on the operational issues. So you could say, yeah, it's in meetings, but really talking about technical topics. Yeah, based on my job. So with my team and the different let me say general managers that are following the different areas and so on. So Monday is mostly focused on that. Then usually Tuesday is more the day of the executive committees, and so you could say it's a mix of governance, company governance, and on the other side stakeholder management with my peers. Then you go to Wednesday and Thursday, where you look mostly at the, let me say, near future, so projects. So in essence, let me say, the big streams that we are developing in all the areas, both network and IT. So, and again, usually these are, let me say, status report meetings where we have obviously the not just the technical component, but also the business component, so the demand that is coming to the technology area. And usually Friday is the day of the financial controls, so capex, opex, efficiency programs, and so on. And then apart from this is a sort of Tetris exercise, trying to put also one-to-one meetings with
Yes.
the guys directly reporting into me or my peers and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Or crazy interviewers from Stellenbosch.
No,
Could you
no
also
worries. And
could you also, yeah, sorry, go on.
no, and then unfortunately there is Saturday and Sunday because the working week doesn't end there. So yeah, unfortunately I need to spend some time during the weekend either to prepare maybe big meetings, especially governance meetings that are happening in the following week, or reading documents, writing documents, and so on. So at least I try to find a little bit of time to reflect and think about what is coming. So that's the reason why I say it's a working week more than a working day. Yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah, that's quite a lot of hours that need to go into that. So it's obvious that you're working a lot in getting things done on a greater, bigger picture, greater perspective. How much of your engineering knowledge do you still use? And if you do, what type of skills do you still employ in the day-to-day activities?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I think at the end, especially for somebody who is coming from a technical background, at a certain point in your life and also in your professional career, you are in front of a big dilemma. Yeah. So on one side, the opportunity to go deeper and deeper on some of the topics that you already know well. So I would say you can become sort of guru. Yeah. Or vice versa, take the pain to move horizontally. Yeah. To say, okay, you know what? Maybe sometime I will be considered, oh, the guy that doesn't know this topic, why, what is happening, is not prepared. But at the same time, the pleasure, the intellectual pleasure to see new areas, yeah, where obviously you cannot be so deep, and exactly you need to pay this price about okay, eyebrows that are raising, saying, oh, this guy doesn't know. Well, why, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I obviously I I cannot say I decided. Sometimes obviously are the events that are bringing you more in one direction and the other, and you start experimenting, you find that you like it. I definitely prefer the second option, to say, okay, I don't need to be super specialized on a single topic, which by the way, obviously all of us have limits, so cannot be very vast. So vice versa, I prefer to touch new areas, and in this case, obviously, you need always to learn, and on the other side, yeah, you can find also the skepticism of the others surrounding you that believe maybe you are not prepared enough. Yeah, so it's always running, trying to achieve a level of knowledge and skills that is allowing you, in any case, to be up to speed and up to date. So this is let me say, in essence, my approach.
What type of engineering skills do you see as being the most important in the next 5 to 10 years going forward?
Yeah, so obviously we work together, so you know better than me that telecommunication are evolving dramatically, and so these, especially in the technology areas, this dichotomy between network and IT is in reality, let me say, in some way disappearing step by step. The two big domains are getting closer and closer. The core network is becoming, let me say, an extension of the IT, or vice versa. You could say everything is going cloud or private cloud, and then on top of that you start putting layers of APIs and so on and so forth. So I think from this perspective, especially for the new generations, I think that a background that is starting from software engineering is super important. Yeah. And I'm talking about software engineering more than coding per se. Obviously, to become a good software engineer, you need also to have a background in coding. But definitely, I mean, software engineering, it's critical at this stage, exactly because at the end it's covering all those building blocks that I was mentioning before, and many more. So it's definitely something that it's very important as a background. The other elements that obviously are becoming more and more relevant, as I said before, it's a deep knowledge in APIs and integration methods, microservices, and so on. And then on the other side, but then it depends from the individuals. I think that also good knowledge in terms of AI and machine learning is extremely important as well. And then once you have those tools in your bag, then you can decide where you want to go. Yeah, and then maybe, okay, you will become a radio engineer. Okay, fair enough. So you need to study electromagnetism and so on and so forth. But you have this common background that is really helping you also to connect the dots and to be able time to time to look at the big picture, maybe to decide to move slightly on the left or on the right side, not just going on a straight path.
Yeah, I very often use the analogy that coding and being able to program is really similar to 10, 20 years ago, being able to just use mathematics. It has become a core skill in the engineering disciplines. Could you also then, as a final thought, maybe, Giovanni, share with us maybe a few recommendations or what your advice would be for future engineers, scholars thinking about engineering? What are the things they need to look out for, and what advice would you give?
So first of all, I would say it's super important in front of such a big decision, especially for the, let me say, the young generation, maybe at the end of the high school, at the beginning of their university path, to really look at what you like the most. Yeah. So, for example, I was describing before my crazy week. You could say it's crazy. What are you doing? Are you punishing yourself? Are you? What is wrong with you? And nothing is wrong. At the end of the day, it's something that I like very much. I'm very passionate about, and that's the reason why that I spend, you say, many hours. Yes, it's true, but because this is something that I like more than many other things. So I don't think it's correct to say, okay, an engineering degree can bring me or can open a lot of doors if you have not the passion for that. If you have not passion for mathematics, for physics, for IT topics, if you don't like coding or whatever, so that's not your path. So it's better that you don't go there. Otherwise, you will really hurt yourself. So the first element for me is always passion. So if you really like those topics, definitely that's the best choice, and you should not resist, but you should embrace it. And then second, as I said, from my perspective, obviously talking about telecommunications, information technology, and adjacent disciplines, the basics that I was mentioning before are crucial. Yeah. And then on the other side, I think the other big element is not jump too quickly to a super specialized role. Yeah, again, especially at the beginning, try to push few buttons, not only one. Yeah, and to see what is the response and to see if you really like it, and so on and so forth. And then maybe you decide, as I said before, you want to be the guru, or you want to be maybe to embrace a more managerial career in technology. Yeah. So that's the sequence that I see as the as the best development. And I see it applied also to the examples very close to me. So my final degree in engineering is biomedical engineering in reality. Yeah. So I studied for many years, obviously, information technology and telecommunications. But then the last year, my 5th year in the engineering university, was more dedicated to biomedical engineering. And then vice versa, I went back. By coincidence, my eldest son was exactly on the same path. So he ended up with a degree in biomedical engineering, and now is working in Accenture, yeah, on logistics and information technology related to logistics. So you really need to experiment also a little bit and then to find what is your path.
Absolutely, that's very good advice. Giovanni, grazie mille. Thank you very much for spending
Prego.
time with us. Yeah, it was lovely to speak and to speak with you and to hear your excellent advice. Much luck with what you're doing going forward, and thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Tinos, and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.